here. So you might want to think about varieties of edges, and that might add some interest. Now it depends on what you're going for, but do you want to add some color in some of these shadows? And again, it just depends on what kind of an effect you want your painting to have. So you may not want that kind of an effect, but you also might be interested in, do you want some white areas? Do you want to add just some more white? I don't know if you can see kind of where the light's hitting, you know, you get more of a white. Merge down. Well, there's some white. That's what you want. Oh, it's, anyway. Maybe a white on the nose, not that big round dot from before, but adding some whites there might help add some life to this face. But as far as life goes, it's very nicely designed. I think she did a good, fun job on it. All right.
Okay, time's up. By the way, we're timing these for 4 minutes each, just to kind of make sure our critics don't get too far, don't get too enthused here.
Okay, so I'm up, and we should tell you how nerve-wracking our practice was at the beginning. So if you will bear with me, I will do the best I can, but I was the one having difficulties. So share screen. We are going to start with this one. Do you see a single piece here?
We're not sharing screen yet.
Not yet. Okay, hang on. Okay, I think, where is it? So it's slightly clunky.
Okay, now we see your, I think it's your Photoshop.
Whole bunch of pictures.
A bunch of pictures, good, okay. I'm going to see if I can't get a single one now. Do we see a single painting now?
No, we do not.
Okay, I'm going to stop share and I'm going to start over. Okay, now?
Yes.
Pumpkins and squash.
Okay.
That's Terry Penny's. Terry, are you here?
Okay, and is it big so it fills the screen?
Yep, it looks good.
Okay, all right, let me say some really nice things about this first. Very fresh, juicy color. It feels like a watercolor. I love that when it feels like a watercolor, because when you're doing watercolors, you want it to look like a watercolor. A really nice variety of negative shapes. She has preserved the white, so it just really sparkles. I know Carl Purcell does this too, where there's the sparkle of paper that comes through. And I just love that. I was gonna say, I want to compare it, and now we're gonna get a little tricky again. I'm gonna stop sharing this one. And I'm going to show you an example. So this one, let's hope it comes up. You see
Yes.
this? Okay. So this is, do you see a single painting?
Yes.
Okay, this is actually Diane, Diane Adams.
Yeah.
Right, right. And I own this painting. And I just wanted to show it to you because she is using the vegetables as almost a pattern motif. So in this one, there is no background. So I'm going to talk about backgrounds. In the first one, it seemed to me like Terry had kind of just added it as an afterthought, just kind of light and airy, and because she didn't know what to do with it. All of the most sort of successful, I'm going to stop sharing on this one, most successful pieces they have from the very beginning have planned out the background. So I am not. Okay. So here's another one I wanted to show you. This one is by Chris Krupinski, I think. There it is. Share. Is it nice and big?
Yes.
Okay. So very clearly you can see how it's sitting on that quilt. The quilt, which is normally what you would think is the sort of the negative space, the background to the fruit. It's almost more important than the fruit itself. But it was planned from the very beginning, and it's very clear where that fruit is sitting. So the problem, and we'll try to get into the, so we'll do share screen again, and I'm going to get into my Photoshop hopefully here. Okay, do you see that in Photoshop?
No, you're out of
Not yet.
share screen right at this point.
Okay, let's try again. How about now?
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so here's the original one. And the problem with it, I see, is that there's no clear sort of how it's sitting there. The pumpkin is sitting upright. Then this gourd back here seems to be, I don't know, like you're looking down, but it's not really anchored to the ground. It's floating above where the pumpkin is. And then the carrot, I mean, in general, that's fine. But, whoops.
That's just time. That's 4 minutes.
Okay,
Go on.
all right. So yeah, so it's like I said, think about the background, and I just actually put a layer on this so that you can see what it would look like and how the colors would pop if you did, I mean, the drama of black velvet, right? But think from the very beginning what you're going to do with the background. Try not to just add the background as a sort of a last, well, what do I do now? Plan it from the beginning, because it's really just as important. The negative shapes are just as important as the positive shapes. But I think, you know, putting a really nice dark background around that just really makes the color pop and look beautiful. So that's just an idea. Okay.
Okay.
So Sherry, you're on.
All righty. Okay, whose is this by?
That is Cindy Montoya. Cindy, are you here?
Okay,
I don't see Cindy.
okay. So right up at the very top at that, where the water starts to come over, I like the way the trees right here kind of disappear. So it seems like there's a mist from the waterfall. I like the darkness against the light right here. I think that makes the waterfall kind of pop. I think a lot of the painting could be improved by thinking a little more about design. There's a good video by Sarah Yeoman, who's coming, doing the spring workshop, and it shows her process of painting this painting. One of the things that makes this look like a waterfall is that area right there where you can see the water, the edge of the water coming down. And here it's pretty much smooth. You cannot see any place where water might be. Sarah has put some really dark branches, kind of the way this painting has right here along the edge. But she's also brought it down here and also up here. So it's repeating and it kind of cradles the waterfall. So that's kind of designing that shape. Also, there's almost a repeating of this tree, and this tree. And you might want to design it a little better. So maybe two of them are closer. So you have 2 against 3 or 4 against 5, and making it a little more nicely designed. Okay. Was that the timer?
It wasn't. It was a text.
It was a text. Okay.
But that's, but you're close. We can move on.
All right. Sounds
Hey,
good.
Kristi.
Okay.
Let me get out of, okay, share screen.
Okay. You see Brenda Brunello's piece?
Yes, we do.
Oh, yes. Okay, good. All right. I just want to talk about a very creative composition. I love this. Anytime you have groups of 3, it's a good number. It's a good, you know, I mean, it's just a really kind of balanced number. Because the composition, it's diagonal. Diagonal always says dynamic, dramatic. The 3 figures, they're almost, you know, bigger, medium, small, so they're different sizes as well, which is good. Nice textures all over. Let's see, and there's a nice full value range on this. My favorite spot, and I don't know if you can see my cursor. Can you see where I'm?
Yes, we.
Okay. Is this nice fresh color up here, and this rock, which is just really, you know, it shows form and everything. My issue, I think, with this is the bright yellow pants. They kind of stop you from moving up and through the painting because it's right smack dab in the middle, and it's the brightest color in there. I guess if I were, let me stop sharing this one and go to my Adobe. Let's see, how do I do this? Share screen. Okay, share. Okay, do you see the Photoshop now?
I think so.
Yes.
Okay. So my issue is I would prefer, so I've got a couple of issues with this. First, I'm very confused about the sort of above her head, which part is backpack and what, it's just not clear to me what it is. So I did some adjusting and whatnot. And also the other part that There's a lot of white towards the edge here. I think if this were darkened a little bit, it would help keep you in the pictorial frame. So when I did kind of a little bit of a fix on it, I just darkened this side. And let's see, I'm reading a little bit of my notes. Let's put the layer on just so you can see what I did to it. So I just added some color over here and kind of just brought it back into this figure here. So it keeps you in here. And then I kind of, I took some of the color up here and I kind of dulled down the pants a little bit. And hopefully you keep moving now up to her. So I added some yellow there as well. So we've got spots of color that lead you up. And then I also added, there was some dark here, but then it ended right here. So I feel like you need to extend the dark through and underneath the figure. So, and then I just added some calligraphy to bring you back up to here, as opposed to, you know, getting stopped right here at the yellow pants. I think that was it. And I think, you know, it's so much, especially with a great sort of subject like this, you want to dive right in. But I think if you do some pre-planning, I think you could probably, there we go. You could probably, you know, work a lot of this stuff out at the beginning. But maybe the reason she chose this was because of the bright yellow pants. In which case I would try to maybe move that out of the center. I just really try to avoid, you know, parking something that dramatic right in the center. Okay?
Okay, great. Okay, Sherry.
All right. Okay, whose painting is this one, Roxanne?
That is Doyle's, right, Doyle?
Maybe Doyle's muted.
Yeah.
So I love how the buildings, there's atmospheric perspective as the buildings head back into the distance, they become lighter and less distinct. I love that. I love the darker value against the left buildings down by the water. That looks like a nice shadow there. I love people in the painting. It adds something to the painting and gives it a feel that is different. And this painting has kind of a nice, soft, kind of a pastel kind of a feel to it. On this one here, if you look at it, it looks like maybe on the one on the left, there's more windows put in. And on the one on the right, he didn't put every single window in. And when he put the windows in, he designed it a little. So there was only, you know, part of a window or a side of a window. And down here, there's a whole window. But these little vertical washes that come down make this really feel like water. And maybe that would help this painting here if there had been, if some of those washes had dripped down. I think this is very interesting, that boat. Is it too close to the edge? I'm not sure. And so if you moved it up, would you want to move the people up a little, or do you want to keep it there? These are some things to kind of think about. What kind of sky do you want? You can see the value of the blue over here. This is a little so light that you can't see the value. If it was darker, let's see if we can get a, if it was a little darker, it would really make the buildings kind of stand out. So, and also you can control where the eye goes by using your values. So you can just kind of think about that when you're designing a painting. Bing!
Bing! You're there.
Okay.
Christy.
Stop sharing.
Sorry, I was muted. Okay, so I've got Bess Ann Swanson's beautiful painting here. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yay, okay. We're on a roll. All right, she has a great variety of wet on wet, loose areas, but then she's also paired it with some really nice tight places. I love that variety and kind of tightening in on, you know, this very clear focal point up here of the window. It's very well placed. It's kind of facing, this face is, you know, it's not quite to the top third, but I think I like having all of this loose, beautiful, wet on wet watercolor coming, kind of dripping down the page there. This foliage on the mid right, you see how soft that is on the top, and then she's done some really beautiful sort of netted painting in there. It's just really very technically well done. I love the fade in the lower corners, how she has faded off. Do you see how, you know, this is a tough thing when something kind of drops off an edge like this, but look at how she's faded this so nicely. Same thing over here, so you don't kind of drop off those edges. Expert subtle color shifts within objects. Look at the texture on this rock. You know, there are cool tones and warmer tones, and it's just done so well. And all roads lead to the focal. This, these rocks wind up, it goes to the focal. The trees kind of shift towards the focal. This line of the rock comes down to the focal. It just has some really great movement. So let's stop sharing this, and I'm going to go to the Photoshop. Okay, so I just had a few suggestions on this. There is a bit of a black hole in the very center, and you know, normally that probably wouldn't bother me because of the placement, I guess it does bother me just a little bit more. So let me show you the layer, and I'll kind of explain the sorts of things that I did. So all I did was add some green from this foliage over here, so it wasn't quite as deep. There's now some sort of dark green foliage in there, and you could go a little bit lighter in that too, just so that it's not just a hole. And then I extended actually the softening because it felt to me like there was a little bit too much texture in this foreground grass. It was just too busy for me. And so I kind of dulled it down and kind of washed it out a little bit. I got rid of, there was a white piece up here. I just really try to avoid anything that's too bright or too catchy towards the edges and especially the corners. I mean, this is fine, the one in the middle to stay, but I just felt like she needed a tone over here instead of bright white. I think I also softened this edge just slightly. Again, it's just really hard edges coming off your pictorial plane are sometimes problematic. It just leads your eye off too quickly. I think that was about it. Very few things, you know, because it's and right on time.
Right on time. Okay, Sherry.
All right. Okay, who did this painting, Roxanne?
Okay, that is it's one of the first ones that came in. Okay, it's Jason Combs.
Okay, very good. So I was looking at the lettering on the top of the building. Sometimes that's hard to get it to look right, but he's nicely done that lettering. Sometimes you don't have to put every letter in. You have to kind of decide whether you want just to kind of show part of the letters, but he's done a good job on that. There's a nice perspective of the people, showing them getting smaller as they go into the distance. It might be a little boom. Okay, let me go back to inking. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. It might be a little too evenly spaced. Looks like maybe I don't know, maybe this is 6 feet apart. So maybe he wanted it to be that way. Car shapes are hard to capture. He's done a pretty good job with capturing the shapes of the car. Some things to work on is everything's kind of they kind of blend together. Nothing really stands out. Like the man here standing against the building, they both kind of blend together. Maybe you'd want the figures to kind of stand out more. So look at this building here. Now this is pretty dramatic, but you can kind of see the building turn. And on this one, there's not much difference in this side of the building and this side of the building. So, but here you can really see the light catching the edge of that building. And look how simple those figures are, but look at the difference in value. And even over here, these figures, how they really show up, but they're so simple. Look at the simple shape and design. And then look at that car. So maybe you want to think about when you're doing a car, instead of doing rounder shapes, even though the car is round, you might want to think about straightening up some of those lines, you know? So it looks a little more mechanical and not as soft. So if you're gonna have the red here, maybe you want the red somewhere else here, or just so you're kind of repeating it 3 places in the painting. Or same thing with the yellow. So those are some things to think about with that painting.
Okay. All right, Christy. Okay, that one is Dewey Hansen. Christy, are you on mute? Christy, are you muted? Christy? She is muted.
I am sorry. I was sharing screen. I couldn't get out of it to unmute myself. Sorry about that. Okay, pretend that didn't happen. Let's start all over. well, not all over, but just with Dewey's piece, because I wanted to show you, so you already saw his piece. Let me show you his photograph. And I really had hoped to be able to share them side by side, but do you see how deep and dark this area is over here? And I hate going back and forth, but let me go back and pick up his painting again. There it is. I hope this works. Are we back to his painting?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, let me, I think I have to share screen, there, just when I was feeling confident. Okay, do you see how
Yes.
right? I mean, it's so first of all, I like, and you probably can't remember from his photo, but one of the things I really like that Dewey was able to do, he was able to divorce himself from his photograph. I cannot tell you how long it took for me to realize that I can change it if I want. Please do not be bound. Be inspired by your photographs, but not bound by them. So he brought the top of his mountain down. He added this little green tree over here, and that's great. So I like that he's inspired, but not bound by his photo. Nice texture in his trees. And I can understand why he chose the photo. And I don't know if you remember, here we go again. Let me try to get back to it. Back to the photo. So share screen, here's the photo. I want you to see how luminous it is. I think the reason he chose it is look at how that water shines. You know, it's a gorgeous photo. But let me tell you something about values. Color lives in midtones, but you need values for structure and for drama. So in order to get the luminosity of the water and this background, you need to have this ugly, big, dark mud. And I know that sounds strange, but it's all relative. You know, one thing will not shine if all the colors are pretty. So let's get into, I'm gonna try something. This is actually was Brenda's, but oh shoot. No. Okay, stop share. I did some. Okay, bear with me. I will get there. Here's Dewey's. Sorry, that's mine. That's okay. Do you see Dewey's now?
No,
Photoshop?
no, we're just looking at Zoom.
Okay. I am wondering, since I am taking up so much time,
You've got time. We're good.
do I? Okay. Let me. Okay. Let me try one more time here. Because if I'm not getting it right away. Okay. Okay, share screen. Oh, I think I might have gotten it. Okay.
All right, we're there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I did a layer where I darkened this area and kind of made it back to the mud. And then let's see if you can see the difference. So by adding this dark piece, all of a sudden, and then I lightened this up in here too, but look at how shiny now the water is. I think, I think if you're looking for luminosity, you have to have the variety in color or in value, excuse me. Like I said, value, you need it for the drama and for the structure. I also changed the shape of the rock. I don't know if you noticed before, but it was like different sections, but they were all very similar. So I brought the top of the rock up higher so that it was a more pleasing sort of place where it came off the page. Let's see. And then I also added the reflection of the tree. So anytime you have changed the photo and you've added something, you have to also add it in the reflection. Otherwise, it's going to appear off. Okay, I think I'm done. Sorry about that, folks. Thanks for hanging in there.
All right. Roxanne, do you know who this one is done by?
This one is Janice Allred.
Yes, you're correct.
What do I win?
You win a pat on the back. So again, with this fence post, it depends on what kind of reaction you want to get people to have as they look at the painting. And so you have to kind of decide. So this is done with just with grays. But look how nice the design is on the barbed wire. It's just so nicely designed. You've got an X over on the post and then almost an X over on the left. You've got a variety of spaces in between the barbed wire. That looks good. I'm wondering if the two fence posts, if this one and this one could be designed a little better. I'm also wondering if you would want this center one kind of moved over so it's not right in the middle. It depends on what kind of effect you want. This has a nice, bold, in-your-face effect right now, so it may not be something that you want to change. So you also have to decide, what's the purpose of my painting and how I want things to look on it. I was wondering value-wise if you darkened the background here, if that would really make that pop out even more. And then I wondered if maybe you made these turn a little, if that would add a little more to it. And it changes the mood. So again, it all depends on what kind of mood you want with your painting, Do you want to save some of the whites of the paper? Is that going to add to the drama of this painting? So, and if you add it there, do you want to add some up here? Do you want maybe a touch on the barbed wire somewhere to really make it sing and shine? So, but it just depends on what kind of an effect you want. And do you just want this area here, do you just want it to be a darker value, or do you want to put something in there, different shapes? If you put different shapes, it might take away from the impact of that fence post and the barbed wire. So you would have to think about that. A lot of times I will take pictures of my paintings and kind of put them into this Procreate and play around with them a little to see if what would happen if I did things like this. And then I can look without endangering my painting. I can look and say, oh, you know what, that's going to add to it. And so I will kind of go ahead and do that then. So there you go.
Okay. I forgot to set the timer, so we're done.
Luckily, we ended just in time.
Just perfect. Yes.
This is Sig's really fun piece. I just it's just so much fun and ambitious a subject matter, because I mean it's hard enough to do one figure, let alone three. So I mean I cred to you for that, Sig. Great light and great shadows. Very confident strokes. I love these background sort of, you know, she, with just a few really confident strokes, you know that what kind of foliage that is back there. It's just really, I love the background. It's energetic, but not too much detail. Had she gotten really crazy with it, it would have detracted from the figures, which are more important. The purple and the purples down here and the green up here, the palette is just lovely. Let's see, suggestions. So let me stop on this and let me get to the to where I have made some changes. So it's hard to give too many suggestions. I think the one thing I would say is to try to look for opportunities to kind of lose some edges. I think sometimes when we have a complicated subject like this, we feel like we need to give all the information, but try to find, you know, I see these three ladies as a unit. So try to find ways in which to merge the three figures together, you know, which will also help the eye kind of travel through. And resist using your really tiny brush, like right in the face. I think sometimes you can get an expression just by, you know, the shape of your shadows and whatnot. But at any rate, let me just show you the layer here and kind of explain why I did the things I did. And again, like I said, I didn't change it much. But what I did is I wanted to get rid of some of these edges here, because it became for me kind of about this chair, because there were so many kind of hard edges. So I kind of wanted the chair to kind of disappear and bring, kind of come down and around and through. And I also did the same thing up here. I wanted to lose an edge on her hair. So I kind of had, you know, brought some of this up into the background. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I think I have moved, you know, kind of fuzzed out some of the, let's go back here and see what I did. Okay, you can kind of see the difference. That and then that. So all I've done is I've kind of gotten rid of some edges so that you can come back into where it's important. And this little face here resting on the, I just love that. So anyway, and I think I also, I think I did some stuff down there. But again, it's just, you know, it's just a little tweaks. The original idea is there. So do you see how all of this is so defined? And so I just wanted to take some of the definition away from that.
Okay. Right. right, Sherry.
All right. Do you know who did this painting?
Lori.
Lori.
Yep.
Okay. These leaves are really beautiful. The colors, really pretty and nicely designed. I like the placement of the branches and the leaves. They look really good. I like the leaves in the background, the subtle leaves, like the ones in let's turn that back to gel. Okay. Like the ones in here, right there. Nice, kind of subtle in the background kind of leaves. One thing though, as I zoom in, it almost looks like you've worried about painting each and every single leaf. And instead of combining some of the masses of the color, when we were able to, some of us were lucky enough to take a workshop from Charles Reed. And he talked about when you do flowers, he talked about painting them as a group. So like these whites, you're thinking about those whites as a group of whites, not individual flowers. And the same thing with the yellows here. He's just put down that whole color of yellow, and then he's come back and worried about painting some of these negative spaces behind them, and that's defining the flowers, and it's making it maybe a little more interesting than painting each and every individual leaf. You can also think about softening some edges, losing some edges. In here, the leaves look like maybe they're surrounded by all hard edges. Someplace they aren't, but most of the places they are. So anyway, but it's a very, very nice, beautiful painting. There you go.
Okay.
Okay, so this is Kent Baker's. He's from Cache Valley here. First of all, Kent practices drawing from the live model. And you can kind of tell, because this is a challenging view from up above. And so way crazy foreshortening, but he's done a really great job of it. And you know, that just takes practice. I mean, you have to just really paint from life as much as you possibly can. Let's see, am I on mute again?
No, you're great.
Okay. It's probably good if I don't mute it at all. But anyway, it's a bird's eye view of these two girls sitting on this wood platform. And it's so unique and creative. This is the sort of thing when I'm during a show, if I see something that I've never seen before, it gets extra points. And this is the sort of view that would get my attention for sure. The diagonal composition again makes for a dynamic, energetic sort of feel. I already talked about the challenging drawing that he's trying here. Great observational skills and a nice variety of shapes. Now, the biggest thing that I have to say on this is value. It is all in the mid-tone range. And so let's get out of this and let's I put it in a black and white so you can see you know, quite often will do that. Take a picture of your
Okay,
painting.
we're seeing,
Yeah.
not seeing quite.
Okay. So
Yeah, okay,
can you see it now?
yes.
Yes.
Okay. Take your painting and put it in a black and white filter. And I know I can do that on my Photoshop really easily, but it's almost hard to see because there's not, I mean, I'm thinking probably the value range on this might be in the very, you know, you maybe have some, you don't have any true ones and you certainly don't have any true tens. So high key, let's see, 10 would be white and 1 would be black. So what I did, and I will stop the share on this, and let's go back. And what I did was I went in, found some of his very lightest lights, like the highlights on her forehead and her nose and her chin, and then some of her in her hair and the top of her thigh, and maybe on her part of her leg here. And same thing over here. And what I'm really looking at is I'm just looking at these as like little white stepping stones. So they kind of lead you through and around and whatever. And then I did the very same thing with the darks, you know, with the blacks. So, and I tried to kind of combine this whole black shape from her, you know, the clothing to the other girl's clothing. And there's no need to separate it. You can separate that with color. But the color, you know, you can go crazy in here in the midtones with your color and whatnot, but you need the darks and the lights for the skeleton, for the structure of the painting. If you don't start with that, it just kind of falls apart. So I guess that's probably all you know. And at this point, this would be fun at this point to take and I'm not going to do it because I don't have it in Photoshop, but do some calligraphy, you know, connect up some of these shapes if you want to with this black, you know. But like I said, try really hard. And then also I want to talk about unequal sort of amounts. So in this one, the largest portion is the midtones, which is fine, but then you have the next largest portion is the darks, and then there's even a smaller amount of whites. But you know, think about that value. You just really, really need value. Okay, sorry, I went on too long.
No, no problem.
Stop.
Okay.
Okay, whose is this one?
It's Phil's.
So this is funny because this is looking down also. So it's a kind of nice perspective to be looking down on the buildings and the stairs. It has a nice abstract quality to it. I like the variety of shadows that are right along the stairs coming down. They go in a triangle up towards the top, like right here. Let's see if I have to merge down again. I do. Merge down. So right here at the top, they're a triangle, and then they come down thicker and then get narrow again. That's kind of a fun, nice design there. The painting looks to me like it's almost cut in half. And I don't know, you kind of have to play around with it and see what would happen if I cropped it here. Would it make a more interesting design? If I brought the white buildings further over to the left? You kind of have to play around with some thumbnails and see if this is the kind of feeling that you want to get on this painting. Let's see. What would happen if you put some people into this painting? Would it change the mood? Do you want to keep the mood that it has. So right here, sometimes I think we get too worried about, oh, I've got to paint a tree, and a tree has leaves and it's got branches and it's got a trunk, where sometimes if you just go for, this is one of Richard Stevens' paintings, and he's not painting individual pine needles, and he's not painting, you can see the trunk here, but he's not worried about getting every little detail, and a little bit of the trunk here, and he is just slapping down shapes and slapping down colors. Like this area here, the washes are better than maybe on this tree over here. This tree here, would you want to change the shape of that? Because it's almost like that. Would it be more interesting to design that bush a little, and maybe change the shape? So there are some comments on that painting. This is interesting right here. Those chairs, 1, 2, 3, 4, right there, nicely in the middle of that nice big shape. Okay.
Okay. Kristi.
Okay, this is James Eugene Moore. I just love the gorgeous saturated color that he's got on this. It's a very distinctive and personal style. It's almost like a stained glass effect. I don't know if if there's some pen and ink that's separating these different, but it looks like things are kind of outlined. And then there's of course this the outline around it too. I was going to say, within these different areas, the paint is allowed to mix, which is nice. So you're not just seeing, you're seeing the blue kind of mix in with the green. And so you look at this and you immediately know that it's a watercolor, which I love. And I actually kind of enjoy this this flat division of space. That's very Cezanne-esque, I think. And it's just a really nice sort of, like I say, a very distinctive style. And nice variety of shapes, good proportions. You've got your sky is about a 1/3 of your pictorial space. And I think in general, a good color sense. I mean, this feels very Southern Utah to me. So let me get out of this and I'll get into my Photoshop of this so we can try some things. So first thing I did was I got rid of the outside because it wasn't squared up. I squared it up and got rid of it because I didn't have lines on all 4 sides. I mean, the artist may have wanted it to be kind of like a vignette with the, and it actually goes with the black lines in there, but I couldn't square it up because I didn't have one of the lines on one of the sides. So I squared it up. And in general, when you are like entering a show too, please do not include any of your white paper. It should be image only. So I've actually kind of, I had, I've juried shows where I've had to just kind of dismiss a few because they, had too much extra stuff other than the image. Let's see. I talked about straightening. And then I also tipped it. It was a little bit skewed a little bit. So let me see. I'm going to give you one layer here and show layer 1. So in this layer, what I did was I had some difficulty with the tangent lines. This blue thing was just touching the tips of this. So what I did is I kind of extended this bank of rocks up here so that it's very clearly the blue is behind the brown rocks here. And then also by tipping it up, you kind of, instead of falling off the side of the painting, you stay within this particular composition. And then I also did that very same thing over here. I don't know if you remember, but the tip of this little pointy rock was coming right to the edge. That's called a tangent. So I wanted to make clear that this came in front of this. And then I felt like there was only one real dark, this dark green here. So I added some more here so that there's a little bit of balance. And I think it's just a little bit more balanced, especially on a piece like this that is segmented in all these different, you have to be really careful about balancing and kind of going back and forth. And so I feel like it tips less now. Let me just go back so you can compare. Okay, there's the original and there's the layer. So I feel like it's tipping a little bit less. And then I felt like there needed to be something living in this. And so why not, maybe add some, I wanted to take some of this green and I did a few little green vegetation over here. I just felt like coming down, I needed something more here. Now, it doesn't have to be that. I mean, this is just an idea, but that's what we're here for, I guess. So I'm done, but nice, fun piece.
Yes. Okay.
All right, whose painting is this?
That is mine, Roxanne's.
Okay, I've got to change my critique. Just joking. Okay, this painting has a really nice mood. I love the angles in here. When you have a person, it gives it a really nice feeling of being alive to have the angles. So look at the angle on the hat, shoulders, those angles down here. Look at the angles on the legs, the arm. Those are just some nice angles. It just makes this figure look alive. So think about that when you're drawing figures and think about the angles and the motion that they create. There's some nice washes on here with some nice color. So this hat might be sitting a little too, well, maybe on top of the head, maybe not on the head, but I'm not sure. It might be working the way it is. You want to remember this might be a little tight. You might be so worried about capturing the figure and what you have here that you're just worried about getting it exactly right. So look at this Ted Nuttall painting. Look at the lost edge there, lost edge there. And then look at the background, how this dark shape here is just nicely designed, you know? It's a very good, nice design in the hair. So think about like, look at this arm. There's a hard edge almost all the way around it. And oh, here's a message. So don't read the message. Um, unless it was a good message, I don't know. So do you want to soften that edge? It's a little softened there, but you want to soften it as it goes around that curve. When we have light that's hitting a curved object, then we have a soft edge and a core, and then it goes back. But this edge right here is soft. So anywhere where there's a curve, if it's a cast shadow, like here, down here, then you get that hard edge. And so think about softening that. But same thing that Christy said, you could just put these shadows right out into this background and kind of lose the edge somewhere on the back of this figure. So it just kind of disappears into the background. Is this object too close to the edge? I mean, you've got this nice dark over here that kind of balances it, but is it just a little too close to the edge? And is this box and that point right there a little too close to the bottom of the painting? And is it sending us off in this direction? What it is doing is it's stopping the hand there from going this direction, but maybe you want to do something different so it doesn't go right off the edge there. So there you go on that one, Roxanne.
Thank you. You get to keep your job.
Okay, good. Oh yeah, like
Who
you're
did you,
you're gonna change
who
that.
did you say, Sherry? Who did you
What?
say was the artist? Who did you say the artist was on that one that you shared?
Oh, it's me.
No, I mean,
Oh, Ted
you mean
Nuttall.
that's Bev's.
I thought it was Ted Nutt.
I think it's
Is
Bev
it who?
Jobsiak.
Okay, there you go. It's Bev Jobsiak.
I'm pretty sure, I mean, I recognize her style.
I think
So
you're right.
double check.
I
Yeah,
think you're right.
okay. Well,
But
here's,
everything I said about it works.
Okay. That is another one of Lori's. And in the
Bergamo.
interest of time, I'm wondering if we could, if Lori doesn't mind, there are a few people that sent in too, and we were going to try to get them, but we're kind of running out of time. So I'm wondering if you could, we could maybe jump to another one.
Sure, the next one I have is Bess Ann Swanson, and I've already done one of hers as well. Do you have one that we haven't done yet, Sherry?
We haven't done Yvonne's.
Is that the Aspens?
Aspens, yeah.
Okay.
And
We'll
we
go-
haven't done Cindy's, which is a really a nice landscape. And I think we've
So
done,
you're on, Sherry.
yeah.
Okay, I am going to, okay, so here's the painting. And who did this again?
Okay, this is, sorry, Yvonne Krause.
Okay. So this is a nice rendition of an Aspen Grove. It's maybe the photo is not showing up the whites as nicely as it could. I don't know. The whites of some of the aspens are looking kind of blue. So I don't know if it's a problem with the photograph of the artwork. But this is a nice painting. It's got some nice changes in value in the background. Here's a little painting of Carl Purcell's, unless it's Bev Joviak's. Christy? So this is
No, that's
Carl
definitely Carl.
painting. Okay. So Carl Purcell talked about having a nice little surprise in the back of a painting like this, where you have these background shapes that kind of change color and go back behind something in your painting, like back behind these aspens. So you have a variety of shape and a variety of colors that are back behind there that make this painting very interesting. And maybe there's more angles. Look at the angle here. And look how these aspen trees are kind of sitting solid into the ground. You know, they just feel solid. So maybe some of these could use a little bit more of that solid. And it's a difference of having the angles in the back and then the nice aspens. But as far as placement of these aspen trees, they're nicely designed. So you got maybe 3 over here, 4 over here. This one kind of just disappears off the edge, but maybe brings you into the painting. So, but look at the whites on Carl Purcell's paintings. Look how white that is. And look at the color in these aspens. There's some blues and fading down into some warm reds and purples. And look at all the color. Now here's a place where you go ahead and you put those individual leaves. You know, he's just kind of stuck those in because it's the time of season it is. I wonder if some of this calligraphy over here that he's done with these branches would help this painting over here, would make it feel more like you were in an aspen grove to have some of the calligraphy. So there are some things to think about with that painting there. And I'm done.
Okay, we've got Cindy's, Cynthia, and that is a landscape. And then we have Deanne Holmes, and I believe, you guys speak up if I've forgotten, if I've missed you, but I think that's all.
Is that the rooster?
The rooster is Deanne's, and then Cindy's is Cynthia, I should say, is a landscape with lavender mountains and some trees, and it looks like a lake.
I don't think I got that one.
Christy, do you have that one by chance? I can pull it up and share my screen. Let's see.
Christy, you're on mute again.
So my mouth is moving, but you can't hear me. So if you can flash it up on your screen, the two of us could talk on it.
Yes.
I don't have it in mine. I don't think it got sent to me.
Okay. That's probably my bad, but whoops.
It's not fair to you, I know.
Am I
You
sure?
know, while you're looking for it, do you want me to do the other one of Lori's or the
Why
other?
don't you do that? I've got it right here. I've just got to figure out how to share screen. But go ahead.
Okay, so did I just do Lori's real quick? Okay, let's do it. Okay, isn't this pretty?
Yeah.
This is a great example of a fresh, transparent watercolor. Great edge quality, variety. They're soft. You see some of the soft edges, and then you see how this flower down here has got more soft edges, and then the ones up here have harder edges. She obviously understands what watercolor can do all on its own, and she doesn't try to over control it. And it's very exciting background. I love the sparkles of the white that shows through. That's a Carl trick. We were just talking about Carl. Nice placement and movement. Again, it's kind of moving diagonally across the page. I think I already talked about the edges. So let's get out of this and go to Photoshop. I just had some sort of, I guess some ideas, I should say, for popping the focal just a little bit. I don't know if she meant for it, but for me, the focal is over here. Can you see my cursor?
Yes.
Over here. Yes. Okay. So I was trying to think of ways to kind of pop that focal. So I'll just give you a couple of different examples. So just with some white highlights, some calligraphy, all of a sudden you look right here, you know, and it kind of, let's try a different one. Well, that wasn't the one I wanted. I want hide that one, and let's look at this layer. This is with dark calligraphy, you know, just adding some little kind of calligraphic lines. All of a sudden you're looking over here. And you can also do it with color, just a little bit of a color pop over there. So I just took some of this orange and popped it over here, and since it's next to the complementary blues and whatnot, it just really makes you want to look over here. So again, not much that I can add to this beautiful painting.
Okay, let's look at Cynthia's. I think I've got this figured out. Okay, am I sharing screen?
It's coming. Yep.
Okay, and this is Cynthia's.
Awesome. Did you want to start, Sherry, or?
Go ahead.
So for me, there's a clear focal, which is nice. And it's at one of the sweet spots, you know, it's on the third, it's not smack dab. Can you imagine what this would be if these trees were right in the center? She's moved them off, which is great, and they're not too far off. I love this sort of, the way, do you see how she's kind of fuzzed that lower left corner, so there's not too much interest down there, but it's dark, so it keeps you, it kind of makes for a frame in that, for that pictorial frame, and brings you back up where she wants you to look. So I don't know, I think on something like this, where I might actually cut it down and have a little less sky on this. I mean, it's really nice to have a resting, you know, area, which I think the sky provides for me, because there's quite a bit of brush strokes throughout the whole piece. And sometimes you get kind of worn out if there's too much texture everywhere. And so it is really nice to have a very plain sky. But I think, yeah, I mean, yeah, I think you put it down a little bit, didn't you, Roxanne?
I did.
And that
Yeah.
edge on the bottom edge is nicely designed with just the suggestion of plants coming out of that dark shape. That's looking good.
Yeah, for some reason, I'd really like to see a little bit more dark in that reflection. I feel like, you know, this dark on this side is so separated from the dark tree that I feel like I want some sort of a connection between the darks. I'm trying to think, I think it's Don Andrews. He's a figurative painter, but he talks about connecting your shapes, connecting your darks or connecting your whites. And I think it really helps with eye movement through a piece. So I would suggest kind of looking at your photo again and just seeing if there's some darks that maybe you haven't exploited yet.
And maybe bringing some of the reflection more of those trees down into that water. I don't know if it would be there with a river that was fast moving, but it would just give the
Right.
feeling for water to have some more vertical lines as opposed to the horizontal.
Okay. Okay. I will. Then we've got Deanne Holmes' Rooster, and that will be our last one, unless I've forgotten somebody's. And if I have, please let me know and I'll find it.
So do you want to flash that one up, or do you want me to try to find it here?
While we're finding it, I just want to mention that Ann Galt and let's see, what was the other name? The
Oh, Ann Galt and I missed it.
Kathy Gagon can get their paintings. We're going to try to have them at Bullock Frame Company so they can pick them up. And maybe when we email them, we can send them the address and a phone number.
Okay. All right. This is Deanne Holm.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so this is just design. There's texture inside the design. It's just a fun rooster. It's got a fun feeling. The legs on a rooster might be longer than that, but design-wise, it kind of works. And it's not just floating in air. You've got that little line down at the bottom that makes it have a place to rest. Nice design on the top of the rooster. What's that? A coxcomb? It's just fun design.
Yeah, I was it's just delightful and fresh, and it's got a real kind of folk art feel to it. I just love that every single section has a different sort of texture, different design or pattern in there. It feels somewhat commercial. I could see this like on kitchen towels or a tile or a, you know, I mean, this is the sort of feel that it has, or a children's book or something. I do like that. I guess that line is down there, but it's a little uncomfortable for me because of, I mean, the feet are in front of the background, but the background comes over the legs. So I'm just a little confused by that. It just makes me just a little uncomfortable. So you may want to look at that. Does that make sense to you? Do you see how the grass is coming in front of the legs, but that's the background. So it shouldn't be coming in front of the legs.
And it bleeds off the page in one place with one toe that's almost a tangent.
Right. That's a little bit problematic as well. Yeah. I would actually either crop it so that you're coming off and you're creating some really nice negative shapes, or give it a little bit more space, like you said.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Kristi and Sherry, thank you. They put a lot of time and thought into this. I think it's been fantastic. And thank you all for joining in. And I did get a text from Diane Assay, and she asked me to announce that Artist Corner in Orem is going out of business. And everything in the store is 35% off through February. And for those of you in that area, go for it. That's not a bad deal. All right, that is all I have. So thank you. And we'll see everybody later. It's really fun to see your faces. Let me tell you, I miss everybody. I really do. All right, bye-bye.